Okay, part 2 to coming out. So in the last video, you would have heard me talk about coming out as gay or being outed as gay. Sorry, I'm just gonna have a quick. I just made some Indian tea, as most of you may call it, some chai, and I just wanna sip some. So bear with me. Delicious, nice and spicy. It's got spices in it. One day I'll make a tutorial on how to make some desi cha. You never know. You know, all that soft and dalchini. Let's say lechini as like a mixture of dalchini and lechi, but whatevs. If you speak Hindi, it's elaichi, but Punjabi, it's lechi. It's really strange. Okay, we digress. So yes, talking about coming out. When I came out as trans. So, in the last one you heard me being sort of quite candid about, you know, when I came out as, well, when I was outed as gay. I was when I was 17, and then sort of soon after was my 18th birthday. And then when I was... You know what, I can't actually pin together the dates. It's really confusing. Yes, I was 17. I moved out when I was 19. Did I move out when I was 20? I moved out when I was 20. So, I moved out when I was 20 and I was in a relationship, a homosexual relationship with a gay man, whatever. And it was my last ditch attempt to be sort of try to be something I'm not. It was my last attempt because I thought if this doesn't work out, I'm gonna have to come out as trans because I can't keep living a lie and it's not fair to people, etc. And hindsight, that was a really stupid thing to do, and you know, I could have very possibly hurt the person that I was dating. Thankfully, he broke up with me before that, so thank God for that. But I moved out in sort of the September, we broke up in the October, and then I came out as trans in October to a lot of people, to most people even. But I came out to my parents in the February. I came out to my parents, my brothers came to my home, not this house, in a different house, and basically, I sat down with them and we ran through a script because we thought, they thought, I don't know if you're getting sort of a general gist of how things work in my family. It's quite controlled and you don't have much choice of how things happen. But my brothers thought it was the best thing to do if they told my parents for me and they controlled the situation and it wasn't sort of me going in there all guns blazing, which I wouldn't have done anyway, but that's how they perceived me to be, so I guess that's how it happened. So we sort of ran through what I wanted to tell them and how it sort of worked, etc. Then they went and told them, and this was Valentine's Day weekend, and I had booked that week off because I had planned to do this, so I needed some time to recover from work. And then this happened on Sunday, and come Thursday, my mum calls me and she's like, "You haven't come home, like you've been off all week. I've been waiting for you. What's going on?" And I was like, "The fuck?" She's acting like nothing's happened. So I sort of go over and then I waited for my brothers to get home and then we sort of had like a family meeting and we sort of sat down and discussed it further, and my parents were like, essentially said, "You're gonna do whatever you're gonna do anyway. We can't really stop you. We don't want you to do it, but you're gonna do whatever you want anyway." It's quite apt to say my family don't accept me being trans whatsoever. You know, it's really weird because when you might meet some members of my family, you might think they're quite pro LGBT, like, you know, it's really strange to me. It genuinely really is strange to me because like I see like, you know, pictures of like certain members in my family that are at Pride, and you know, Pride is a celebration for LGBT rights, you know, and you know, the Pride just gone in London was like, you know, the Golden Jubilee or whatever of like, you know, it's like the 50th anniversary of Stonewall, so it was a huge monumental thing for, you know, the LGBT community, gay rights, civil rights, etc. And to see members of my family, or one particular member of my family at this event, really got to me because I was like, you don't even accept your trans sister, like, you barely, and you know, you weren't even all, you don't even accept, like, you know, equal rights. You don't believe in marriage equality. So, like, you know, it was really bewildering to me, like, when I see people like this. But, you know, outwardly you might think my family is quite accepting, but in actual fact, behind closed doors, my family aren't accepting, you know. As much as my brothers try and sort of say otherwise, it's not, you know, my family aren't accepting. And, like, you know, my cousins might see this and be like, well, I'm accepting, you know, but in actual fact, I came out very openly to Facebook, I think, like, 3 years ago now. It'd be like 3 years in, like, Feb or something, I don't know. Where, like, you know, I've not seen a single member of my family, bar one sort of aunt, I assume, I don't know what she is, we'll call her my aunt because that's how I see her. She's my mossy, you know, she's like my mum's sister, but she's not actually my mum's sister, but, you know, that she's treated like a sister type sketch, you know, and she's quite young, you know, she's in her 30s, and, like, and she's the only single individual that I've met from my family since, you know, coming out as trans in the last sort of 3 years. So when people are like, oh no, we're accepting, where are you? You know, it's like, I understand we all have lives, but, you know, I've had a very open transition. I've had a very open sort of surgery process as well. I've not had a single sort of contact. I've not had any contact with family members. Like, hey, how are things going? You know, we imagine this is going to be quite hard. But I guess it's testament to, like, the resilience of my family of, like, covering up. Like, say if family members go to visit my parents, how's, you know, everyone still uses my dead name being my old name. They'll be like, oh, how's so-and-so doing? Oh yeah, he's fine. And it's sort of brushed under the rug. And, you know, and then that's sort of it. But where is, like, my family when I need them? My parents sort of instilled into me from a very young age that your family will be there for you no matter what. But yeah, me going through the hardest times of my life, I've been alone and relying on the family that I've cultivated in regards to my friendships, which means so much to me. So it's sort of like, where? Yeah, so my family essentially tried to disconnect me from my extended family, and it didn't work because I was like, I'm not having it, I'm going public, it's going on Facebook, etc. But yeah, it was sort of like, you can still come to the house, you know, you can still come into my parents' house, you know, if you're not in, like, a dress and makeup, you know, you have to come in, like, normal clothes, which would be male clothing. So they still had issues when it came to me wearing leggings and an oversized tee. And it got worse when I started to develop breasts, you know, my face structure started to change, started to get, you know, laser, etc. And it just got worse and worse. And then, you know, there was a point where, and I don't know whether to tell this section because, you know, it's airing something quite like a dirty secret, but my uncle died in July and I wasn't allowed to go to the funeral because I'm trans. I don't know what they thought I'd rock up in. I have no idea. But, like, I wasn't going to rock up in, like, a skin-tight black dress, huge hat and a veil. You know, I'm not some widower. Like, I have no idea what they thought I would go to this funeral in. But it was decided that I wasn't allowed to go to this funeral, which really hurt me. But my family essentially set out parameters of, like, you know, how it would work if I came out as trans openly, which would be, even in general, if I was to come out, if I was to transition, I wouldn't be allowed to family functions, etc., etc. Like, you know, I wasn't really to meet any family, all that sort of fun stuff, you know, proper disconnect me from sort of my external family, which has essentially worked, I guess, because I've not seen any of these people in 3 years. But, you know, like, even occasions like funerals. Well, they never mentioned funerals because I guess death is something we don't like to talk about, but, you know, weddings, like, you know, if my brothers were to get married, I wouldn't be allowed to go to that. Any family weddings that are coming up, I wouldn't be allowed to go to that, etc. So, you know, it was sort of that mentality. And I just sort of agreed with it because, you know, what else am I meant to do? You know, it's like, I was clutching on straws, hoping that maybe they'll change. And it's been 3 years and they haven't changed. So it was sort of very difficult. So when I was told that I wasn't allowed to go, and after the funeral, sort of, I was very upset, and we didn't talk for about 2 months. And my mum called me, and I went over to the house, and we sort of had a very open discussion, and that's when I told them that I was getting surgery. And that's when things got really difficult. And we basically stopped talking up until sort of December, from sort of July-ish time to December. We had very limited contact, very rarely seeing them, you know. It was a really difficult time. And, you know, I try not to get upset about it because, you know, it was there from the get-go. They were very open and honest about how they wanted things to happen, and I guess I hoped otherwise, you know. You'd always hope that your parents always had your back, but that's not always the case. I guess even for your siblings, even when they say, you know, my brother's always said, you know, I got your back no matter what, and it's sort of like, okay, that was bullshit, because, you know, where the fuck are you? Oh, sorry. But yeah, so we didn't really have discussion or talks, and up until the point my mum was sort of hospitalised for some of her like ill health, and you know, she had major operations. So I was there for her for like we took a week off work, and I was sort of spending time in the hospital, going back and forth, you know, ferrying her from the hospital to home, etc. That was in November, and then she had her main operation in December. And it was really difficult, and so she had her operation, and she finally went home, and then me and my older brother got into sort of a very large argument about sort of racism, etc. So we stopped talking at that point. It was already quite a strained relationship anyway, but then sort of that was the final straw, and then sort of that was December, and I was flying out to India at the end of January. So I had a very limited sort of time left with my family, because it was sort of agreed that after I get surgery, it would be, like, it'd be deaded out, do you know what I mean? I wouldn't have contact with them anymore up until, like, sort of, like, until they're ready type situation, which was very vague. No, I don't know what that means. Then my grandmother died, in, you know, in December. And obviously, I very stupidly thought, you know, this is my grandmother. You know, my grandmother. Like, surely I'm allowed to go to that funeral. Nope. And there was another funeral that I wasn't allowed to go to, and it was very unfortunate that, you know, my dad lost very prominent figures of his family in the space of 6 months or so. So I can understand, like, sort of his distress, but as much as he lost a mother, I lost a grandparent, and she was ooh. No, I'm not doing this crying on YouTube shit. No. So she was the only grandparent I had left. You know, the rest of them sort of passed away, and I see my mum's, and this is my dad's sort of family, and my mum's family, like, you know, it's a bit more in India, and, you know, I've not really spoken to them much either, because, you know, if you coming out as trans in India, it's like hella bad, so. But yes, so it was very unfortunate, and I wasn't allowed to go, so it was really tough. So it was sort of strange. It was difficult for me to sort of like go back into sort of a family unit when I wasn't even allowed to go to the funeral of my grandmother. You know, I was about to go off to have my own surgery, and it was tough. Like, you know, I've been there for my family through all their crap, and then suddenly I've been dropped, and I wasn't, like, I didn't have them for my surgery. So yeah, it was really difficult, but I saw my mum for the last time in January, and then I saw my sort of siblings for the last time, I saw one of my siblings for the last time in sort of December, then I saw the other one in January. My friend hosted sort of a goodbye party for me, and which he came to, and that was sort of the last time I saw him as well. And yeah, so I went to India, and the last time I spoke to my mum on the telephone was the night before my gender reassignment surgery, where she basically called me to say, don't do it, and I was like, no, I'm doing it, and I haven't spoken to her since. Essentially being like, she, like, doesn't want to talk to you right now, maybe she will, maybe she won't, but she'll be in touch, etc. And yeah, I was in India alone to get my surgery, so it was really, like, crushing news to hear that, just, like, 3 days after, well, like, you know, getting sort of gender reassignment surgery done, and then, like, waking up to a text like that. It's really difficult. And yeah, so I've not seen any of my family since. So at this moment in time, it's been 5 months. Has it been 5 months? No, it's been 6 months, because the last time I saw them was in January. So last time I saw them was in January, and we're currently in July, so it's been 6 months since I've seen them. Which, you know, it is what it is, and, you know, it's their decision, it's their choice, and I will respect that, and, you know, whereas they don't respect my decision to do what I needed to do in regards to my life, you know, it is what it is. And, you know, we have sort of a skewed idea of sort of like, oh, cut them off, they're toxic, which I've done, you know. I would really have to really think about what I want to do if, you know, my family try and get back in touch with me, because, you know, do I really need that toxicity in my life? And there's a lot of negativity around, you know, cutting off family members, but you need to cut them off if you need to cut them off, do you know what I mean? And I guess me telling you all of this is sort of a way of being like, shit doesn't go as smoothly as you want it to. And, you know, your mental health suffers. You know, nothing prepares you for your parents to cut you off. Do you know what I mean? Nothing prepares you for that. I'm lucky that I live with my closest friend in the world, who, you know, is my constant form of, like, she's my rock. Like, I can lean on her completely. And I'm very lucky to have her, that not everyone does. So, whereas your family might sort of drop you, or sort of cut you off, or treat you like shit, know that that's not your only family. You can, like, you cultivate relationships as you go through life. And, you know, some of the most important people to me I met at work. Do you know what I mean? So it's really important to not give up and just power through, honey. Power through. It's really difficult, but at the end of the day, you'll get through it and you'll be fine. It is what it is sometimes. Family isn't everything. It really isn't. Because if I meant, because where I stand is, if I meant as much as, like, I sort of deem my family, in the sense of, like, you know, my family was the most important thing to me. If my family saw me as, like, you know, one of the most important, like, pillars of their life, they wouldn't drop me so quickly. Do you see what I mean? Like, families can't just, like, people you spend your entire life with, if you mean something to them, they should not, in the first instance, sort of disown you for being who you are, or going through with, you know, being who you need to be. That shouldn't happen. So how much do you need those people in your life? And it's sort of reevaluating what family means to you. Because what family means to me now compared to a year ago is really different. It's hella different. My family, when people ask me about my family is my chosen family. My family are my friends. Because these blood relatives that I have, where were they when I needed them? You know? And it's really as simple as that. Where the people when you need people, where are they? The people who show up for you are the ones who are actually there for you. I know if I needed to, I can call my best friend who lives like 300 miles away, and she'll be, if I needed her right now, she would come immediately. I can just ring up and say, Shavita, I need you. And she'll be like, I'm coming. She will be here in an instant. You know what I mean? But if I ring one of my family members, it'll be like, it'll just be really awkward, and they would not be here when I need them. And it's as simple as that. When people say, oh, I've got your back no matter what, put it to the test, honey. Put it to the test. I did. I went off to get surgery. The only reason my family knew what was happening with me is because I text them, letting them know, just had surgery, I'm doing okay. But if I hadn't have messaged them, I didn't get a single message saying, oh, how are you doing? Do you know what I mean? So it's really, really, really evaluate what family means to you. If in regards to if they're a negative bunch, do you know what I mean? Really reevaluate what they mean to you and how you're going to go forward and live your life. Because family aren't going to be there forever. You're not going to live in your parents' house forever. You know? I've been sort of rambly, but I hope this helped someone, somewhere, I guess. We're hitting 20-minute long video and my battery is dying. So, you know, stalk the socials. They're all below. Peace, love, and freedom, y'all. You know, it's all about peace, love, and freedom. Like, comment, subscribe, you know, all that sort of fun stuff. Stalk the socials. And I will see you all soon with another video. Take care.